Good evening, everyone. Imagine this, shadowy drones slicing through the night sky, uninvited guests probing the borders of sovereign nations, forcing airports to shut down and militaries to scramble. It's not the plot of a spy thriller, it's the reality unfolding right now along NATO's eastern flank. Today, we are zeroing in on Russia's recent drone incursions into European airspace and the bold response brewing in the EU, the so-called drone wall. This isn't just about tech and borders. It's a stark reminder of how hybrid warfare is reshaping global security in 2025. Stick with me as we unpack the facts, the fallout, and what it all means for the world stage. Let's get into it. First, let's set the scene with some essential background. For years, tensions between Russia and the West have simmered, especially since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Airspace violations aren't new. Russia has occasionally dipped toes, or rather wings, into NATO territory, testing reactions and pushing boundaries. But here's the kicker. According to Western officials, these incidents have roughly doubled in the past year alone. What started as rare flyovers by manned jets has evolved into a more insidious game involving unmanned drones, blending military provocation with deniability. These aren't your hobbyist quadcopters. We're talking sophisticated UAVs capable of reconnaissance, disruption, or worse, the context. Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine has spilled over, with drones playing a starring role in attacks there. Now it seems Moscow is exporting that tactic westward, using what experts call hybrid attacks, a mix of cyber ops, disinformation, and physical incursions designed to unsettle without triggering full-blown conflict. Fast forward to the present, and the incursions have hit a fever pitch. Just in the last few weeks, multiple NATO and EU countries have reported unauthorized drones breaching their skies. Take Denmark, for instance. Unknown drones forced several airports to close temporarily, prompting the government to call up hundreds of military reserves in a move one analyst called completely extraordinary. Sources point fingers at Russia, though Moscow denies involvement. Classic playbook stuff. Over in Poland, drones have crossed borders amid heightened alerts, with officials linking them to Russian operations. Estonia saw 3 MiG-31 jets violate its airspace recently, leading to private warnings from British, French, and German envoys that NATO is prepared to shoot down intruders if needed. Latvia, Lithuania, and Romania have logged similar breaches, some involving drones that mirror those used in Ukraine's strikes, and Sweden. They've beefed up defenses after spotting suspicious UAVs near sensitive sites. These aren't isolated blips. They're a pattern. In 2024 to 2025, Russia has set a record for such violations, forcing NATO to scramble jets more frequently than ever. It's like a game of chicken in the clouds, where one wrong move could escalate things dramatically. Now, let's talk response. Europe isn't sitting idle. Enter the drone wall, a concept that's as futuristic as it sounds but grounded in cold, hard necessity. EU leaders, gathering in Copenhagen this week, are hashing out plans for a fortified shield along the bloc's eastern borders, from Norway down to Poland. Think of it as a high-tech barrier, a network of sensors, radars, anti-drone jammers, and even concrete bunkers at key energy facilities. The idea, backed by the European Commission, aims to detect and neutralize threats in real time, stretching across countries bordering Russia and Belarus. Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen didn't mince words. There is only one country willing to threaten us, and it is Russia. We need a very strong answer. Ahead of the summit, NATO allies like Germany, France, and Sweden are already pitching in with troops, anti-drone systems, and helicopters to secure the area. Ukraine's expertise is front and center here. Their forces have downed thousands of Russian drones, and EU pledges include €2 billion for UAVs to bolster Kyiv's defenses while integrating lessons into the wall. Even the UK is involved, with low-cost interceptor drones from their Octopus project forming the backbone of this setup. But here's where it gets interesting, and a bit satirical, if you will. In an era of AI and space races, Europe is essentially proposing a 21st century Iron Curtain, but with drones instead of barbed wire. It's almost comical how history rhymes. Walls to keep threats out, yet this time they're invisible, buzzing ones. Russia, predictably, calls it confrontational and warns that building walls is always bad, as history shows. Fair point after all, who doesn't love a good historical callback? But let's apply the same standard. If these incursions were reversed, with Western drones poking around Kaliningrad, Moscow would likely respond with more than stern words. The criticism here lands on the act itself. These violations erode trust and heighten risks without achieving much beyond posturing. They're a low-cost way to rattle nerves, but they invite high-stakes retaliation, potentially dragging everyone into a broader mess. Zooming out, the implications are huge. For NATO, this tests Article 5, the Collective Defense Clause, without invoking it outright. So far, responses have been measured. Scrambles, warnings, but no shots fired. Yet, as one op-ed put it, Moscow keeps offering the choice, act or fold, and hesitation only emboldens more probes. Economically, there's talk of using frozen Russian assets, worth 140 billion euros, to fund Ukraine's aid, and perhaps parts of this drone shield, a move that's both poetic justice and a financial jab. On the global front, this ties into broader U.S. concerns, with America providing assets in the region amid its own tensions with Russia and China. The Middle East watches closely too. Similar drone tactics by Iran-backed groups in Yemen show how this tech proliferates. Society-wise, these incidents disrupt daily life. Closed airports mean delayed flights, heightened alerts breed anxiety, and disinformation swirls, with some outlets peddling false flag theories to muddy the waters. Critics argue the drone wall could fragment if key players like Hungary bow out. Orban's government, cozy with Moscow, might leave a 96000 square kilometer gap, turning the whole thing into Swiss cheese. Subtle humor aside, it's a valid concern. Unity is Europe's strength, but cracks show when politics intrude. Still, proponents see it as essential evolution, adapting to hybrid threats in a world where wars aren't always declared with tanks. As we wrap up, this story underscores a pivotal moment, Europe fortifying its skies against an assertive Russia, blending innovation with resolve. It's informative, yes, but also a wake-up call. Peace isn't passive. It demands vigilance. Whether the drone wall becomes reality or just another headline, one thing's clear, the skies over Europe are no longer neutral territory. Thanks for joining us. Stay informed, stay engaged. See you next time.